want to welcome you all to today's One Africa Freedom Dialogue, which we have monthly, every month, on various dialogues and discourses towards indeed rejuvenating freedom giants for the quest of seeing to a democratized anatomy. Indeed, wherever we are, we all see that. We all see to it that yes, things are not going as they are. There's been so much fragmentations in our systems, and indeed, our governments are leading only parties. They are only favoring their parties. They are only favoring their clans. They are only favoring a sector of people, and that is not what we want to see as a people. We want to see to that indeed there is a wholesome inclusion through which the government partakes in as the leader of the people. There's a wholesome inclusion whereby they take care of every fraction of people, every region, every clan, every race, every institution, every sector. And they see to that indeed all our policies are affecting every nook and cranny of the national anatomies. And that's what we want to see. We also see to it every day that in the governments come into power, and when they come into power, you see to that yes, they are either favoring their tribes that they hail from. If about 8% of them hail from that tribe, they decide to now favor these tribes and become so nepotistic. They begin to favor certain regions in their countries. They begin to favor certain kinds of people who are just close to them, their families, their neighborhoods, their surroundings, and leave certain fractions. If not in their political parties, they leave them aside. And these are things that are really, really killing us as a people. Because if we want to see that indeed Africa becomes one of the superpowers of the day in times to come, then indeed there must be a total inclusion of everyone being ported to change we need to see. There's been so much more administration in our systems, and as a people, we need to fight for the rehabilitation of our continent. We need to see to that there's a wholesome inclusion. We have great people everywhere, right from the science sector, right from business, right from tourism. We have people who have great expertise in solving the problems of our anatomy. But here's the case whereby they've been ejected because they are not on the pursuit or on the let me say the mind, and they are not on the positive notes of our leaders. And therefore, we need to eschew and clean out. Once we have people who have the go ahead, the expertise, who have all that to cause a change, we should be able to opt out for them and not exclude them because they don't fall within our representative roots, such as our clans, our tribes, or anything that we don't fall in alignment into. We are one anatomy, and we need to show that indeed we fight not based on our personal sentiments, our political sentiments, but for the dignity of the nation. And that today we are here to see to that there's that analogy working. When that analogy is working, we can be able to see freedom thriving everywhere. When that analogy is working, we'll be able to eschew all forms of mediocre and poor progression in our economies and in our national anatomies as a whole. We must work on analogy. We must work based on the dignity and the sovereignty of our nations, not based on how our families can thrive together. No, the analogy must show itself. That's why we call ourselves freedom giants, because we don't settle for less. We see to that indeed excellence is thriving everywhere. We see to that indeed the prevalence of the democratic order is thriving everywhere. So we move on. Sometimes we see people who are not even part of our organization, but we see their habits and we can tell, no, they have a certain analogy with us. And we say, no, they should be a part of us because these are people who are full of excellence, who are full of discipline, who are full of nationalism, who are full of patriotism, and who want to move their nations ahead, not want to just amass wealth within their pockets just for that some time being, but who want to see to that indeed there is excellence thriving wherever they are. That's the kind of people that we need to see and append our signatures into. And that's the analogy we are trying to ensure here. And today, I'm glad to see our panelists here today who will be talking on this subject matter today, such as Freedom Giant Motebe, Freedom Giant Leftist, Freedom Giant Tom Butale, and Freedom Giant Ebrima. Yes.
Thank you very much. I say once again, I welcome everybody on board. This is One African Freedom Dialogue, organized by African Voices International. This body, on a brief, I know we don't have time, but I'll try my best. In a brief, this body is an NGO. There's a non-governmental organization that promotes democratic and political freedom in Africa. This body has been in existence since 2013, somewhere in Ghana, They have been expanding from Ghana to other African countries. Yeah, it was registered under Ghanaian Corporate Affairs Commission. Then we in Nigeria, we have joined. Different people in different places have joined. Once again, I want to appreciate the Global Board for choosing me as the humble host of this Freedom Dialogue. Today, without wasting much of our time, we are moving into the game of the day. And today we are here for ensuring the main topic why we gather today is ensuring an analogy for democratically pluralistic political anatomies. Now, I've been wasting most of time trying to set our system. Thank God we all arrive here now. The first thing we are going to look into will be to you, Honorable, my humble Honorable. I have to introduce you once again because I know you all are all above me. Like I said, John the Baptist said, the one who is following me, I'm not worthy to stand unstable with his sandals. We are here now. I welcome you all again. Freedom Giant Dombutele, Freedom Giant Ebrima. Forgive me if I can't pronounce your name well, but I will try my best. Then Honorable Leftist and Honorable Motive, you are all welcome. Now, without wasting much of our time, the first question we are looking into is a problem we will tackle and we will solve today. And after today, I believe we are coming up with a better solution. You know, forgive me, I must say this. If you ask English people, non-Africans, even some Africans today, how democracy started, where democracy started, when democracy started, they will tell you that democracy started long ago in faraway land, maybe Greece. Yes, they taught us in school that democracy started in faraway Athens, Greece, where it started from a small family. They will tell you blah, 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 all sorts of stories. But I will tell you today that democracy, nobody knows the root place where democracy started. But I will tell you that Africa have democracy inborn. Proof. Now listen. In our own town, in our own villages, we have this micro-democracy system where democracy is rooted to the core root of every family. Now, the kind of democracy I'm telling you is where all families is represented in the Council of Elders. Now, in the Council of Elders, all the first son from each family have a representative there. Now, every community have the final say when the Council of Elders have looked into the matter. And that Council of Elders, whatever they say is final because every family is represented. Now, how can you tell me that democracy started in Athens, whereas our people have their own type of democracy to stand memorial? Without wasting much of our time, to you, Honorable Ebrima, how will you classify global leadership? Is it democratic? Is it dictatorial, totalitarian, or what? For your own point of view, help us. Our viewers are listening. And please, I will apologize to everybody joining, even outside African Voice International family. If you are joining through a friend or through any media advertisement, please try and mute your own system. You will all talk after the whole panel, or after the panelists have discussed and dissected the matter. We will still have room for everybody to chip in their own. So Honorable Ebrima, we are waiting for you.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my host, and I'm grateful to be part of the Freedom Giants. And I'm greeting every panelist, and I'm saying welcome you all. And without wasting much of the time, we can go straight to the topic. How is democratic global leadership? How is global leadership? To me, the global leadership, geopolitics is not influenced by the will of the people, and which is the foundation of any democratic society. Geopolitics is influenced by interests of an hegemonic and military tendencies of the West. Because the global institutions like the United Nations, which is the political aspect, should democratize the Security Council of the United Nations, because Africa should be able to have a veto power in the United Nations Security Council. Given the political realities of our time, I hope you are hearing me.
Yeah, I can hear it clearly.
Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Okay. Given the political realities of our time, the global North and the global South in particular, which is Africa, should have a vote in the United Nations Security Council, at least 2 veto powers, because Africa is almost the largest continent in the whole world. And Africa, to my understanding, is the most populated region in the whole world as well. So that being the case, the global North should allow Africa to determine the commodities of their prices. And instead of the North determining the commodities of African prices, to me, the global leadership is not democratic at all, because they pretend to be democratic, and in reality, they are not democratic. Because in fact, the UN says that before 2030, they want to eradicate poverty. They want to make sure every nook and corner of the world, there is 0 poverty, and that is about their sustainable development goals. And Africa, being a party to UN, over 190 something countries have adopted that resolution. But look at Africa. Africa could have been the breadbasket of the whole world, because we have the potential, we have all the resources, we have the land. But the global world is isolating Africa, and they want to subjugate Africa to continue to be living pittances or receiving pittances for their resources. So the socio-economic situation in Africa should be addressed by Africans. And I believe we Africans should come together and tackle this problem, because we have seen how the global South, the global North is helping the Ukraine in this war. And they are saying that Ukraine is the breadbasket of the whole world. For instance, 600 million people, Ukraine can provide food for it. So what is stopping them from empowering Africa? What they are saying, they mean it. That they want democracy, they want equal right and freedom and justice for everybody. If that is not just a mere rhetoric, they have to implement it, because we Africa, we are being neglected, and our resources are outsourced outside Africa. And when the resources reach to this global North, they can bring it in a different format whereby the Africans cannot even afford it. So to me, I blame the African leadership for allowing them to be subjugated by these Europeans or these imperialist and hegemonic leaders. I hope I answer some part of your question. To me, they are not
thank you very much.
They are.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, having heard that, you see, we have not started. We have not started. We go to AU, we come back, we go to UN. Small time they will arrange another hunger, UN General Assembly. Small time they will come back and they will tell you so ambition 2030. We are done with Millennium Development Goal. Some countries are not yet up to the main aim of Millennium Development Goal, and UN came up with Sustainable Development Goal, which we earn in 2030, I believe. And some countries are trying to meet up. Now they will still organize another one, and we are just we in Africa, we are just following. We are just bench warmers, reciting the anthems like as if it means nothing, as if it's just a song. But thank you so much. Now coming to you, Honorable Mutebe.
Okay.
From your own view, our political anatomies were decentralized. In our definition of decentralization of power, do you think political anatomies are well decentralized?
Well, thank you, Mr. Ike, my brother.
Yeah.
I want to say I want to say to everyone, good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm greeting you all the way from Kampala, Uganda.
Okay.
I want to go forward to straight away to your question that you posed to me.
Yes.
But before that, I wanted to share one or two things. That is the topic we are discussing today is actually enshrined in what we call, it is actually a philosophy that recognizes and affirms diversity within political bodies, which is seen to permit the peaceful coexistence of different interests and convictions as well as lifestyle. So that is what I first of all wanted to share with you. And of course, when you look at this pluralist democracy, it actually describes a political where there is more than one center of power. So modern democracies are actually by definition pluralist, as democracies allow freedom of association. So having said that, you will get to know that the democracy or democracies or political organizations in Africa, let me first of all just talk about Africa alone, because we're looking forward to that Africa is really liberalized and there is total freedom of speech in Africa by us, the young people, and also the few who are elderly. There is total, we want to see that there's total freedom of speech in Africa.
Complete. Yes.
One, we are not interested to see where a situation where we are really oppressed and we are not allowed to speak the truth.
Exactly.
Because if we don't rise up to speak the truth, these meetings that we are hosting will never yield benefits. Meaning, the future of Africa is doomed or will be doomed if we don't rise up. So, having said that, colleagues, I want to say that the democracy in Africa is, well, yes, it is centralized in the sense that our leaders tend to take up or confine each and everything within themselves, plus a few of their members. I'm saying this in relation to the current political environment in Africa. You see, in Africa, most of these leaders, let me say the presidents, they actually capture power and make sure they are the ones who actually decide, even on national budgets. This is something which is very wrong. You find that the parliament is being abused. The executive does not actually recognize the parliament. Therefore, you see there are a lot of cases. For example, I want to talk about my own country, Uganda, where the constitution is not recognized by the president. When the parliament comes up with a decision, once it reaches the executive, this decision is always trusted in the dustbin, which is very wrong, in my own view. So you understand and you find that in Africa, most of these leaders, what they do, they centralize power in the sense that they want to deprive the rest of the citizens from achieving their dreams. Take an example.
Yes.
Take an example now in Africa. Most of the business, I am talking now the business perspective because I'm a business person. You find that most businesses now in Africa are being taken up by foreigners, including even these small businesses which are supposed to be managed by our own brothers and sisters who are Africans. For example, in Uganda, you find a salon is being owned by a Chinese, a restaurant is being owned by an Indian. Now, where are we? Where are the Ugandans? And most of these people who come to these businesses in Uganda here or in Africa, these leaders, what they do is they give these people tax holidays, 10 to 15 years. When the person is doing this business, the tax holiday is given, all the profit is shipped back to their country, leaving Africa in total poverty. So the investment these people are doing here is really, to me, does not profit Africa at all. It's a way of state slavery, coming to Africa, taking the raw materials, taking each and everything, even the money that they make here. They're actually stealing money from us as taxpayers. So I want to convey to my dear colleagues in Africa that we really need to rise up and discuss some of these issues very, very serious, without fear. Because if we keep quiet over all these issues, we are going to suffer. And our children are going to ask us, what did you do for us? Yes. When we had the chance to speak. So this is what, there's a lot of autocratic leadership in Africa. There's total dictatorship in Africa. Most leaders in Africa are too dictatorial. They only want to work with a specific group of people who actually adore them like Jesus Christ, which is very wrong. The moment you don't buy them, the idea. The moment you don't buy their idea, you are now, they look at them as an enemy. Yet you are there to World Health Organization does not recognize drugs or vaccines that are made in Africa. For example, the pandemic we had of recent, some African states tried their best to come up with some vaccines. But all these vaccines were rejected by World Health Organization. So African leaders must really wake up. And if we want to do business with these developed so-called countries, the West, we need to ask them to come and actually build some of these facilities, permanent facilities in Africa, where African states must have above 70% of the shares. Because if we don't do it, if we don't rise up to do all these things, we are going to face it rough in the long run. So I want to conclude by this, that let us rise up. We put pressure on our leaders to go to World Health Organization, also in the UN Security Council, to make sure that I agree with my previous colleague that the UN Security Council should be able to grant African leaders some of the opportunities to be on the board. So I have some other issues. I will share some of, before I go off, one important thing which has anchored me so much about these Europeans is, you know, in Uganda, the oil is about to be ready. But in the last 1 month, the European Union passed or suspended Uganda's oil progress. So all this you can see. This is very, very unacceptable. We must rise up. The leaders must rise up. This is a way of frustrating the developments in Africa. So I urge all African leaders to rise up and support each other. Where there is a problem, all African leaders must unite and fight these foreigners with one heart. So I want to add as it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You hit the point. A lot of problems are going on, and we are pretending as if nothing is wrong, but something big is wrong. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. To you, Freedom Giant Butele. I don't know if you're ready. Freedom Giant Butele. Let's look at our head of state.
I'm ready.
Head of state. Okay, yeah. Looking at our head of states today, are they dictatorial? How do you explain their leadership? our head of state, are they dictatorial? Let's look into that area.
Yes, they are. They are dictatorial because
Okay.
they want to remain in power. They want to remain in power, and besides most of the things they want to make most decisions for the governments or for their state.
Okay.
They don't want to listen. I'm saying this one through experience. You find in Uganda here, the president wakes up and makes up a decision. For example, just of recent, the parliament made a decision on coffee. They rejected what the president had discussed privately with an individual from France to take coffee.
Okay.
When the parliament rejected that, and again president went and refused what the parliament had passed. So a way of being dictatorial. Meaning he wants just
Okay.
but this coffee will not have the business of coffee in Uganda is not going to benefit all Ugandans. It is now going to benefit only 1 or 2 people in this country. So most of them
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. We are in Africa. We don't need anybody to tell us. There are a lot of coups here and there, overthrowing military regime, overthrowing democratically elected regime. We are seeing even military overtaking military, overthrowing as if there is competition. And we had the case of Burkina Faso and different states. But altogether, we are coming down to solution. After today, I believe we are coming up with a better solution to this menace. Now, let's look at something different. You honorable leftists, I don't know. Honorable leftists, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good
Let's look at our political leaders. Our political leaders, are they biased in kind of developmental structures?
Of course,
structures they implement? Yeah.
Of course, yes. We are talking about developmental projects.
Yes.
Back upon by governors. If they are biased in embarking on such projects. Yes, it's true.
Okay.
They are. Actually, if you really come, are you?
We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you. Go on. Yeah.
Good. Actually, if you really come to look at it originally, developmental projects supposed to be embarked upon in any community, or to be suggested or initiated by those who are in that particular area because they know the problem they have, rather the problem they are facing. So there should have been a kind of mechanism for collating the needs of the different communities based on the needs of the communities by the time the government is now allocating resources towards embarking on developmental strive. They can now begin to embark on people-oriented projects.
Yes.
That is project that will actually meet the needs of the people in that community. But most times, what is done in Nigeria, my country, I'm using my country as a case study, by most of the leadership, especially the governors, as well as people who are in a position of authority, is that they implement projects based on what they want to do, not what the people actually need or want. They are actually biased in terms of projects that they have to do. They implement projects that they feel the people need, not what the people actually need. So to that extent, they are biased.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Secondly, sir, we also look at it again from other angle in terms of allocation of projects. Element of bias. They are interested in certain area than another area particularly. if they are able to somehow investigate certain persons in certain communities did not vote for them while they were coming to power. They know fully well that those people need some dive projects like erosion splash, flood control projects, and other amenities, host of others that are really negatively impacting on the lives and properties of such persons. Instead of thinking of how to address such problems, they go to other areas where they voted for them, where they don't actually have urgent needs for certain place, and they begin to embark on it, therefore exercising bias in terms of allocation of projects. If one really have to look at it to a very large extent, most of our governors are biased in terms of the allocation of the developmental projects. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know, in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, all over Africa, when you look at their capital cities and look at the rural area, you will see a lot of margin. You will sometimes you begin to ask yourself, are they in the same country, ruled by the same president, having the same House of Representatives, having the same system of electing governors? You will ask yourself what is happening. There is a big margin between the rural area and urban area, which you can't find. Those things are not happening in America or Europe. You will see central development and balanced development. Development is balanced, well balanced. But here in Nigeria, in Africa, the reverse is the case. And in Nigeria, there's what we call stomach infrastructure. The governors, the president, they will come up with infrastructure, but you find out that the infrastructure they are bringing is lopsided. In this country, we are not only in this country, but I'm using Nigeria as a point of emphasis because I also live in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian too, and this thing keep happening every day. After 4 years or 3 years, after every 10 years, they will come back again and start campaigning. Okay, for example, in Nigeria, since independence till now, it might interest you, and very funny. You might find it very funny, but it might interest you to know that power, electric power, and the water resources have been a point of campaign. Every year, they will come up again and start campaigning with power, steady power, and water resources. Till when? Till when? Anyway, thank you, my honorable. Now, let's look into the next point. Why do most of our leaders fail to fulfill their policies? Let's look into that point. Unmute and let's chip into that one. Let's dissect the matter today now. Why do political leaders, most of our leaders, fail to fulfill their policies? They have policies. These leaders, we elect them, we know them, they have policies. But sometimes we see that they fail to fulfill their core policy. What is the reason? Why do they fail in their policies?
Yes, this is Tom. I can answer you straight away.
Okay.
You know, most of these leaders have failed to fulfill their policies because they don't have vision for Africa. They only have what we call promises, political promises.
Okay.
They don't have vision at all. What they have is just political promises to help them rule African population for very many years until death. That's why they cling onto power. That means there are a lot of problems in most of these governments in Africa.
Okay.
That's a very simple answer. You don't need to discuss it more. It is just because they don't have vision. They don't have vision, only political promises. We cannot even be to face in the next 5 years.
Okay. Thank you so much. We see we are on some point. Let's chip into the next point. Honorable Leftist. Yeah, Honorable Leftist, are you ready? Why does it take so long for political anatomies? Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
Chinedu, I
clear.
can hear you.
Okay. I'm asking a question. On a black, why does it take so long for our political anatomies to fulfill their mandate?
Okay, let me respond to that.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, right now, right. I got it clearly.
Okay.
There are various factors that actually contribute to why political gladiators or people in positions of authority normally delays execution of a project. I mean, depends on what they actually agree to do. Depends on what they agree to do. One factor of funding. At times, the kind of project they will want to embark upon will require huge funds for them to lay hands on such funds to start executing such projects becomes a problem. There is that tendency for them to delay the execution of such projects pending when they have availability of funds. Then another one again, which is part 2 of it, the corrupt practice. Corruption factor is also an issue where they are, why they are failing the people. The issue of corruption is why.
Please help us with this. Our political anatomy is well decentralized. No, the question, maybe I misplaced question somewhere. But I would like Honorable Motere, before summarizing the last point, let him help us and look into the decentralization of political anatomies here in our own Africa. If you're ready, please help us. I must apologize. I made a mistake.
I'm ready, sir. I'm ready, sir.
Okay.
I'm ready, sir. Yeah.
Okay, right on, sir.
In ensuring an analogy for democratically pluralistic political global anatomy, we must make sure that our political anatomies are well decentralized. If our political anatomies were well decentralized, we would see Africa which considers that it is its duty to decree and enforce all the measures necessary for the maintenance of its government, for increasing the well-being of its people and aiding their progress on the road to happiness and the civilization attained by independent and cultured nations. We could see Africa which considers that the way to achieve these aims lies in the elaboration of the present constitution, which will facilitate all African governments' action whilst ensuring the happiness of the people who will, in addition, derive from it an honor which will not fail to be reflected on the future generation and will permit the Africans to enjoy the inestimable benefits of peace and security. Because in the ultimate sense, it is to the people of Africa that you are responsible. And it is to them that you must answer your stewardship. Since in the scale of creation, all men are created or are born equal, it is imperative that all laws should be equitable in their application. So we need to see Africa, which is not a playground and the laughing stock of the outsiders.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
If they were well decentralized, we will see Africa where the educational system provided develops the intellect, because the intellect distinguishes men from other creatures. Having this done, the education will enable men to harness nature and utilize her resources.
Yes, yes.
And this will provide well-being and improvement of their lives. This means we need to see Africa where education is the key for the betterment and completeness of modern bringing. Remember, things are made possible through our government's policy supported by us or by individual tax contributions of all people. If the political anatomies were well decentralized, we would not see this skyrocketing corruption sweeping through this continent. But this we don't consider Akko invading the hungry. We all know that agriculture is the backbone of nation's economy, and peace cannot reign in the atmosphere reeking with poverty and hunger. Due to all these things, we have hopeless and uncourageous members of public service who doesn't work diligently to attain their particular aim. So it is our intention to ameliorate the living standards of our security forces because we realize the measures of their sacrifices.
Yeah.
As we all know that for a good soldier, there are three fundamental principles to be observed. One being to lead a decent and self-respecting life, to work assiduously, to be at all times to sacrifice himself for his country. We know that some of our African patriotic leaders were still alarming for a one-party state, and they were correct, but we didn't understand them because these corrupt politicians needed to continue to report to the Western world as they are doing now. As the world becomes smaller and smaller as communication improves, because we all know that with proper infrastructure, more jobs will be created. A man's happiness is to make his brother happy. Is that true?
Summarize.
A man's happiness is to make his... Yeah. So I'm trying to say our political anatomies are not well decentralized. They are not at all. If they were decentralized, we could see a complete and a unified Africa with peace and unity and harmony, where we could be all sharing our mineral resources in a fair and complete manner. So I can just see that these African anatomies are not decentralized. They are not controlled the way they should have to be.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much. We see the problem there.
Hello.
Yeah. This who was talking. The centralization of power contributes immensely to corruption. And that is a key factor in corruption. And you can't fight corruption without decentralizing the political anatomy. Yeah.
Yes.
Leftists, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's look into anatomy again. Why does it take so long for our political anatomies to fulfill their mandate?
Environmental is a factor, particularly when we have short period of dry season. You find out that some projects that are supposed to be executed are not executed in time because it requires dry season to be able to embark on such projects. And most time when the dry season comes in very short, instead of them starting on, by the time they say, okay, those are some of the factors normally delays projects. It can even be so happens in most cases. areas because they didn't get votes from them, or because maybe some of their people opposed them at one time or the other, or organized a protest against them and other things like that. Instead of embarking on projects in such area, even if they agree to embark on such projects, they normally delay the execution of such projects. Those are also factors that actually contribute to the delay in execution of projects by leaders in positions of authority.
Honorable Motebe, what measures do you think that can be implemented to better the analogies with democratic leadership? That is important.
Okay, the measures I think can be implemented. Okay, I think we have to make sure that we reform the constitutional laws and make sure that the education and knowledge we are acquiring enables us to alleviate the suffering of our continent. If they are enfolded in our minds in harmony and with country's tradition and character, because no one can escape the responsibility of his or her own choice. If you are found to be well-mannered, thoughtful, faithful, and industrious, you will make others think well of your country. But if you become dishonest, arrogant, careless, and intolerant, you discredit us and yourself and your conscience. So your conscience will trouble you throughout the rest of your life. We must pray the Almighty to help us to attain our loyal and worthy aspirations.
Okay.
We must always remember that to lead, one must first learn how to follow. We must obey the rules and regulations by which we conduct in the we must our contact is country that has to struggle for its freedom. Yeah. So I think
about some people are complaining they have points to make, they have views to make on the chat section. Now, we will give room for those people. Here is questions and views. If you have your own view, indicate by raising your hand. And question.
Hello, can I go on, sir?
Okay, go on with your questions.
Okay. Well, to start with, I am Ambassador Dr. Saad Umar Farouk from Nigerian Anatomy and a general in the African Voices International. Yes, though I joined late, but at least this topic has been a very, very important topic. That is why, as you can see, I'm in a car, I'm on transit. But the way I have to join and make my little contribution because it's a topic that is in my heart. You see, when we are talking about ensuring an analogy for democratically pluralistic political anatomies in Africa,
yes,
I am a realistic student, I'm a practical student. I don't believe in theories. That is one issue I have, yes. You see, let me start from independence. Our independence, at the early stage, it was a realistic independence, which was attained by great men like the African leaders, Kwame Nkrumah, Sardauna of Nigeria, and the rest of them. Then they fought and got a realistic independence. But along the line, I want to be very honest with you. Our independence for now is not a realistic independence. It's not a practical independence. It is a theoretical independence because the Western world are not comfortable with the potentials that are in Africa.
Yes,
now,
you are right.
Yes, so in view of that, technically, one way or the other, they have to find a way of manipulating to ensure that that freedom that was given to us or that independence that was given to us is retrieved from us indirectly.
Yes.
By either supporting, sponsoring, and the rest of their stooges among us, because it will be difficult for any European man to come to Ghana, Nigeria, to come and become head of state in order to implement their policies. It's very difficult. So they now got stooges among us. Those are the ones they install as our leaders. Now, having that as a background, we should know that the insecurity, the lack of development, all the negative vices that we are experiencing in Africa today is not by accident. It is a planned work, and it is working towards the painful thing. All the African anatomies, like Nigeria, which is my country, what is paining me? The election we are talking about now is not election, it's selection. On paper, yes, on paper is election, but in reality is selection. And do you know the painful part? Is the youth. It is me and you, though I'm not a youth, but I take myself as youth because I want to be part of this struggle. I want to be part of this struggle. That is why age-wise, I'm not a youth. But I want to let you know about 70 to 80% of the machineries that will be used in that selection process are the youth. They are the same youth that are complaining. Nigeria, we are just recovering from, I think, about 6 or 7 months strike of Nigerian universities. Do you think it's by accident? It is not. It is a pre-planned. So what I'm trying, I want us to wake up. Instead of blaming European, let's blame ourselves so that we can be able to correct it. These people have already psyched us. I saw one video that I normally feel happy when I remember about it. It's in Ghana. I think when election was about to take place, some of the politicians, as usual, came with a truck of rice to share for them. Those youths refused. They returned the rice. We don't want your rice. That is the level all of us need to attend by now. But the unfortunate thing in my country, Nigeria, I will say it painfully. These people will come and give you noodles. Noodles for crying out loud. And at the end of the day, you still put them and you complain for the next 4 years. So it is high time for us. Okay, let me round up. I'm not taking lectures, but it is something that have been aching me because we have to provide the solution. So bear with me. I like talking so much. The president knows. So it is high time for us. Let me hold myself responsible. Mr. Ike, hold yourself responsible. Mr. Leftist, hold yourself responsible. All of us that are here, now let us check. What am I not doing right? Let me correct it. Because it is a statement the president knows me with. I don't believe in if you don't beat them, you join them. No. If I don't beat you, I swear to Almighty God, I will not join you. I would rather stay alone.
Yes, important.
So, but a lot of us here that are complaining believe in the system of if you can't beat them, join them. Then why are we struggling? Why should you struggle in the first place? Is it not waste of energy? You only waste your energy. If you can struggle, at the end of the day, the opponent now, you find a way of joining him. As far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of energy. So we can do it. Me, I'm very, very optimistic. So my freedom giants, it is high time for us to tell these people, no. No, when you bring your rice for election, I will tell you that I am fasting. I can fast. Don't think that because you want to cure my hunger, I can fast to survive, but I don't need your rice. Go with your rice. Let us look. We have people, God-fearing people, so that we select them. So thank you very much, because if you allow me, I will talk till tomorrow. So let me give other people the opportunity. God bless us all.
Thank you so much. Today, we have dissected different areas from global leadership to the centralization of policy. We look into the head of state, the queues in Africa. We look into the mandate fulfillment by our political anatomies. We look into the democratic leadership, global democratic leadership, and the other things. And most importantly, by Ambassador Saad Omar Farouk, importantly, the point he hit there, he hit the nerve, that we have to take the blame of ourselves. That is the summary of what we did today. And we thank God we are coming to an end. This one African Freedom Dialogue comes every month to your doorstep. By the special grace of God, I was chosen. I thank the Freedom Board, the Global Board, everybody in the African Voices International. My appreciation. I present my appreciation. Then the next Freedom Dialogue is coming on 19th of November, International Men's Day. Yeah, that will be the next Freedom Dialogue we are having. And with that, I'm giving my own vote of thanks. I thank you so much. I promise you, this Freedom Dialogue, there will come a time when the whole world, CNN, BBC, NTA, AIT, all the news channel, news hub, and social media hub will be waiting for us. The world is waiting for us. Africa is waiting for us. Thank you, Freedom Giants. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, African Voice International. African Voice International, Freedom in Africa. Thank you so much. Me, Ike Shinedu, signing out now. Thank you, everybody.